Hey, hello. Welcome to episode number 22 of the People We Love podcast. I am Adam Choi. And what I've been doing lately is using maple syrup as a salad dressing, and it's awesome. I'm not talking about a maple vinaigrette either. I'm talking maple syrup on salad. The real stuff, not this Aunt Jemima Miss Buttersworth crap. Is it Miss Buttersworth or Mrs.? I forget what her deal is. Anyway, again, real quick, I'm going to do most of my plugs and stuff right up front, get that out of the way. My website is peoplewelovepodcast.com, peoplewelovepodcast.com. Everything you need is on there. And please tap subscribe or follow on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. And a positive 5-star review on iTunes is always helpful. And there's also a Facebook group, a private Facebook group to meet and interact with others and talk about the show. That is called the People We Love Podcast Group. But before I get into today's episode, I wanted to give you all a heads up and warn you that there's a slight crackling, rustling that kind of can be heard throughout today's episode. And I take full responsibility for that. And it shouldn't be too bad. It's pretty quiet, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up about that and be upfront. And I'll continue to try and be as mindful as I can with the technical side of things moving forward. Whatever, man. Let's just get into today's show. Today's guest is comedian and actor Theo Manhattan. Originally from Rochester, Minnesota, and now living in Los Angeles, Theo joins me to tell me all about growing up pretty poor, playing in a heavy metal band, how he got into comedy, and also his love for Seinfeld co-creator and Curb Your Enthusiasm star Larry David. Theo is a funny guy with some crazy-ass stories, so let's just get into it. I give you Theo Manhattan. Well, it's good to see you today, Theo Manhattan. Thank you for stopping by the studio. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's been pretty awesome. I like it already.
Damn, yeah, and we just hit the record button. How's your day going?
It's really busy. I'm preparing for a fundraiser tomorrow, and later on today, I'm gonna be going to a club and checking it out
To perform?
To meet some people.
Oh, to a comedy club.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Doing some meetings.
Look at you getting out there.
Oh, yeah. Got a network.
That's exciting. You can't look at it like that, though. You just gotta look at it, just meeting people, just...
Oh, yeah. No, I do that
with
anyway.
Interesting,
But this is definitely business.
Yeah. But I feel like when you attach the networking connotation to something, it makes it seem less fun, more forced or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's a dirty word.
Yeah,
Kinda.
I'm into dirty words.
Oh, we're gonna get into that. So speaking of but let's get into your life. Why don't you tell me about yourself and where you're from and how you got into comedy and acting and sketch and all this stuff. And
well, it's a long story.
Yeah, let's start from the beginning. Birth.
27 years of a lot of stuff. 28 in August. I was born August 2nd, 1991, and in Rochester, Minnesota, which is the third or fourth largest city in Minnesota.
I thought you were going to say it's the third or fourth largest Rochester. Yeah, that's cool. So tell me more about Minnesota, land of a million lakes.
Oh, yeah.
A billion lakes.
Yeah, it's quite a few of them. I haven't had a chance to count them all, but I think I lost count somewhere at 4,000 some. But
nice.
Yeah, Rochester had a pretty modest childhood, I'd say. It was a very loving mom and dad, and lived in a townhome for a little bit, then moved into a fourplex later on, and I was a pretty animated child. Like I played with like tons of toys and Legos, basically. Built entire worlds out of Legos. Had a PlayStation. And yeah, grew up. We were pretty poor, actually. Like my dad especially, but like my mom, we lived in this neighborhood that I thought was pretty good. Like I didn't see a lot of other neighborhoods really, so I was like, this is pretty good. And then when you move out and start seeing the world around you, you're like, wow, I grew up in kind of a ghetto, if you will.
When
a
did
little
you
bit.
when you say get out and see the world? How old were you when you first realized, we're poor? When did when did
Well,
you?
I knew we were poor our whole life because we didn't have like the up to date game systems or
Yeah,
weren't able to make ends meet all the time.
yeah,
My mom was just really good at keeping her cool about not being able to pay bills, but we thought we were doing okay. So
yeah.
she was able to keep a cool head about herself. Uh, it was like four of us living in a 2-bedroom, which is my mom was like in the living room, my two sisters and my brother, we both shared the other 2 bedrooms.
So and this was how old were you? Like when you were living? This is the place where you lived most of
It's
your childhood.
most of my life, yeah.
Really, in this.
My
Okay.
sisters moved out like years before I did,
Yeah.
but I've always been pretty nomadic, so I'd bounce from like house to house around like college, especially. Like I'd live with my mom, or I'd live with my best friend and their parents.
You went to college locally in Rochester?
For a couple of years, and I started off in college at Luther in Decorah, Iowa. I became an Iowan for a couple of
How
years.
far is that from Rochester, Minnesota?
Hour and a half.
Oh, so it's close.
Really close.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I'm trying to picture the map of that part of the country in my
Amish
head.
country.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
You're not from that
Well,
background.
in order to drive to Decorah or to Rochester from each other, like you go through Amish country,
Yeah.
definitely.
Do you have experiences spending time in Amish country?
Not really spending time, but I drove my friend's car over to my girlfriend's house once, and on the way there I got lost because I didn't have like GPS or anything.
Yeah.
And so I like pull into this driveway, and this Amish kid like sees it and like runs into the house. I was like, has he ever seen a car before? I don't know. Like some
Oh,
metal.
no.
He's like a updated horse and buggy.
Yeah. Maybe it was more you who startled him.
Could be. I can startle quite a few people. I've done that in my life. My voice too is very abrupt sometimes. I'll come up behind people and say hey, and then they'll just jump.
Yeah.
It's an abrupt volume. I have a booming voice.
Yeah. How far do you have to be behind someone when you say hey? Because if you stay standing right close to them and you say hey, that's going to be startling. But if you yell hey from afar, you got to find that right balance.
I'd say
You got to mix the volume and distance properly.
Yeah, I actually have an acoustics engineer for my highs with people, so
That's good.
He'll like calculate and then tell me in an earpiece.
Yeah. No,
Like,
that
I'd be
you always
5 yards behind.
you always need to have that extra voice. Coming through the radio secretly, whether you're on a date and you need advice, or you're taking a test and you need the answers, or
We'd all be better off with an assistant. I'd say we all need to just have someone to assist. Even the assistants need assistance.
oh no,
Well, we're all each other's assistants.
We're going-
You know about assisting
yeah,
and associating.
I think
and
so. We're going
producing.
down a crazy rabbit hole here already.
Oh yeah.
Well, why don't you tell me more about like your influences and your early influences, I guess, in comedy and movies, and how you got interested in all that stuff? As I'm guessing you were interested as a kid.
Well, yeah. I mean, I always it was less about comedy and more about performing because I just loved. I did like making people laugh, and I've always made weird faces, and I mean, my face is weird, so like every face I make is weird, basically. But
And you're trying to make that work for you. I got you. That's
yeah,
smart.
you could probably hear it through the microphone.
Yeah,
how
we
weird
hear
the
your face through the
is.
microphone.
Oh yeah.
Work with what you got, man. No, I know.
Honestly, like I was like way more into music for years, and that all started because my true passion from like 4th grade to high school was I wanted to be a spy or like an intelligence officer for the military.
Yeah,
or
what does
CIA.
that have to do with music?
Doesn't.
Oh,
But
we're gonna get there. I
oh
see.
yeah,
Be patient.
This is all method to the madness. Here.
Okay. Let's get. Oh, okay, cool. No,
oh yeah,
I'm ready for the journey.
sweet. We'll buckle up.
Oh boy.
It was like 10th grade, And usually for my birthday, uh, I would go to like Best Buy and get like a bunch of CDs and stuff, or like movies and stuff, just like update my collection. Just buy like a bunch of knickknacks or sundries. And my mom one day was like, "Hey, how about instead of that stuff for your birthday, I get you some drum lessons?" I'm like, drum lessons? What?
How old were you at this time?
Um, I was I just finished ninth grade, so I want to say I was like 16 or so.
Had you ever expressed any interest in drums other than listening to music? Or were you listening to rock music at the time or something?
Tons of rock, yeah, like tons of like AC/DC and The Who
I
and
love
Led
all that.
Zeppelin and Rush and Cream, and my dad got me into Cream and The Who. He's the reason I'm into those bands.
Many
'cause-
dads have.
Yeah. And my dad never even saw him live or anything, but like he grew up with them, and he'd always like sing lines from some of the songs to me in passing, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool." So I'd like pick up the Best of Cream or like Tommy by The Who, and Tommy was like the first album of theirs of The Who's that made me like, "Whoa,
Yeah, that was
crazy!"
awesome.
Yeah, the Who's my favorite band.
Did your dad blow up anything in the house on purpose, like Keith Moon blew up his drums, and that's how you got inspired to?
Not
play
really, but
drums?
he has the tinnitus of someone who did.
Oh, no.
He has Pete Townsend's tinnitus and none of the destruction. He
Tinnitus.
is that what it is?
Was that like hand, like
It's the ringing in the ear.
Oh, the ringing in the ear. Yeah.
I don't know if
Maybe.
it's tinnitus or tinnitus.
It could be one of those. Either one.
It's like aluminium.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, that makes no sense.
aluminium, but it's way more cool to pronounce it that way.
No, I don't think so.
You're missing out.
No, I'm not. We won the war. This the 1776 one.
That
Say it
one.
our way. No, they can say we're let live and let live.
I choose to culturally appropriate
Yeah.
British culture.
Yeah.
Because they invaded again in the 1960s. So,
Oh, yeah, that's
through
right.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Beatles. The Beatles was like the first rock band I got into, which is not a big surprise for
Yeah.
a lot of us. Yellow Submarine soundtrack. The Beatles won like their 26 number one hits on one
Yeah, I'm a
CD.
fan as well.
Oh yeah,
I've
Who
heard of
isn't?
them.
they're an up and coming
Yeah.
band.
Yeah, those kids might make it.
Let's hope so. I'm pining for
them. I
them.
got a couple of them. Okay, what about the drums? Let's get to the drums. How did we end up with a drum set? Were you because you were interested in drums or no?
So my mom's longtime friend Kevin was a drum, and he's a music teacher. So she wanted to like have me find a new passion. So I was like, yeah, drum lessons would be awesome. I never thought of it, but let's do it. First drum lesson I ever did, we sat down in his basement. He had like two drum sets next to each other, and like first pattern I learned was 4 on the floor, like just the driving train beat.
Sure.
And by the end of the lesson, I fell in love, man. Like that was my love at first sight. Like
Awesome.
was drums. I was like, I'm obsessed because it was so cool. My mom got me an electric drum set from Target for like $200, and it was like quiet enough to set up in my room, and I played for like 8 hours a day.
Damn.
Yeah, I just love like doing all the rudiments and coming up with beats and learning songs. And the first song I ever learned how to play was Tom Petty's "Running Down a Dream."
Nice.
And then I was like, "Hey Kevin, could we learn YYZ by Rush?" And he's like, "That's kind of like going from first grade to 12th grade." So, but then he started to teach me that, and it was like massively like boosted different techniques I learned and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I love drums. A month into playing drums is when I was in my first band.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It was a metal band, and I was like not into metal at all.
But you just wanted to be in a band, and that opportunity presented itself?
Yeah, I mean, my best friend was in the band, and he's like, "We need a drummer. You want to play?" I was like, "Whatever, okay." And so I learned. I still didn't really like the music, but our first gig was at this church.
That's the best place for a heavy metal concert, I think.
It really is.
Christian metal? I'm guessing not.
No, definitely not. And our audience was, it was a church lock-in, and it was for an audience of like 14-year-old girls in sleeping bags.
That's one of the most bizarre sequence of sentences that I've heard.
I never
on this show.
I've never thought I would ever say that sentence, to be honest.
Yeah.
But,
heavy metal in a church for
like 12-year-old girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
who organized this?
We got
Oh, no.
I don't even know how the bassist found out about it, honestly, but he just was like, "Hey, we're gonna do this church." I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, it's a gig. So
And
how did it go?
We ended up doing 1.5 songs.
Were they epic jams?
Nope. One song was the only song we knew how to play, which was our original tune called Wake Up, and one of the lyrics was "Let's burn this place down."
Oh, that's great.
Which very appropriate.
Sure.
And then the other half of a song was a cover of a song called "One Love" by Aiden. Oh yeah, and I guess we did "Paranoid" by Black Sabbath.
That sounds like 2 or 3 songs.
So we did 2 songs.
Yeah, okay.
We did 2 halves of 2 songs, and then 1 original song. And then I played the drum solo that was pre-recorded into my electric set.
Nice.
And then I ran around the gym flailing around, and then hit my ribs diving back on stage. Did an Angus Young like spin around on the stage, and then like held my chest while I moaned at the drum set again.
Oh my goodness. And how was this all received?
As you can imagine, very not well received.
Yeah.
They was like, "Oh, it's great." And then me and my guitarist were like, "Hey, we need to go." And they're like, "Well, it's a lock-in." So, and I'm like, "No, we have stuff to do. We need to leave." Because we were just so embarrassed. We just wanted to like take off.
Yeah.
But it was not good.
So then where did the music go, and from there?
And
you creatively as well.
That's a good... Oh, sorry.
Are you good?
So we ended up firing the bassist after a while because like he couldn't scream, he couldn't sing, he didn't even know how to tune his own bass.
No, my goodness.
We're like, why are you here? Like when my guitarist and I like sat down and did like a pros and cons T-chart about like pros of having him in and cons, we had 20 cons, and the only pro was he's fun to beat up.
Oh my God. I don't know what to say to any of this. I'm just
Well, it wasn't even a violent beat up, but we'd like wrestle him or like put him in headlocks and give him noogies.
Yeah, I'm sure he loved it.
And like fired airsoft pellets at him.
It was worth it to him because he's like, I know I suck at bass, but you know it's worth it just to play.
Yeah. It was interesting. And then we changed our name to Good Morning Gomorrah. That was our second band name, and that was when we got like more metal. It's because we were just like kind of lame screamo at first.
Yeah.
And then we turned into like pretty good hardcore metal. That's when we really took off. We played like skate parks instead of churches. Yeah. That's when
I have to be very aware of the sarcasm because I got to be ready. I got to be ready for your sarcasm. I think I've been pretty good picking it up so far, but I got to be on point to.
Oh yeah, it's
be right
it's
there
come
with
and
you.
Go. It's a ship. You have to have the ticket.
Yeah, I did watch some of your stand up, so and I know that you got to be listening closely with you.
That's right.
Don't make me use my brain either.
It's those steady nuances.
Yeah, don't go too heavy with the sarcasm, and don't make me use my brain too much. We don't want that.
That's what I'm about. If you're seeing me, you're using your brain.
Oh no.
That's right, baby.
Okay, so skate parks, and we're playing drums.
Yeah, then we did an out-of-town show in La Crosse, which is like an hour away from Rochester. That's in good old Wisconsin, and our mortal enemy. And we we played like this festival and I honestly don't even remember how that went. I think our best gig, honestly, was this Battle of the Bands we played at a La Quinta Inn, and we were like 17 or 18. I was 17, and we played 3 songs, and the judges were like, "What? Don't you guys have bedtime or something?" Or they're like, "You guys are really damn good, but like, shouldn't you be doing your homework?" Or like, and it's like typical stupid young joke.
Yeah.
Like, haha, very funny. We got people to mosh, which they were like, no moshing, but they mosh.
Yeah.
Who's
Awesome.
not gonna mosh?
Well, if you guys are a metal band, or that's what you do.
Moshed in Texas, man.
Yeah.
We yeah, I think I just like started just liking metal a lot.
Oh,
Like
you
the
came
more I
around.
did it. So I'm a huge metalhead now. It's like my favorite genre.
Is it?
Yeah.
What is it about heavy metal that made you love it more and more as you played it, and I guess started listening to it more?
2 things come to mind. I'd say the technicality. It's like some of the most technical music. So it takes some of the most talent. But also I'd say the aggression.
Yeah.
Because I'm not an aggressive person. So any way to get out my energy, metal's like the best
Yeah, it's
way.
an outlet.
Yeah.
It's a therapy. It's
my channel.
It's a channel. It's a
Rage.
meditation. It's all of that.
It's the most metal meditation. It's meditation.
There you go. I might have to use that.
I'm meditating right now.
Yeah.
Listening to Pantera.
Yeah. I'm gonna steal your material right now.
Go ahead, man.
I don't need. That's funny though.
Thanks. I mean, because it's cool that you're into music, but you seem more into like blues rock.
Yeah, I'm a blues classic rock guy. That's me.
Yeah, and I like blues rock and classic too, but my go-to's metal. The Who is still my all-time favorite band, no doubt about it.
Who are your favorite metal bands?
Favorite metal bands. I like Dream Theater. I like Iron Maiden. I like Between the Buried and Me. I like Metallica. A lot of classic
Megadeth.
metal.
I know some Megadeth.
Not as much into Megadeth.
Really?
Yeah. Dave Mustaine to me is just kind of a dickwad, to be honest.
But what about the music?
Still,
you can't separate the music from like him.
I don't
the way
like
his
singing that much. Like his singing's just not that. It's too creepy almost.
Yeah.
But I like.
I could see that.
Oddly enough, I like King Diamond.
I'm not familiar.
He has like a really high pitched singing voice, but it's like a lot of their albums are concept albums, so it's like they tell stories in there.
That's fun.
So yeah, it's super cool. I like Meshuggah and Periphery, bands like that in the gent genre. Where it just sounds like something's getting printed or something, like a fax machine. But something about it's really, really cool. But I'm also into, after Good Morning Gomorrah, because I left for college. Then I went. When I moved back home, I was in a desert rock band.
What does that mean?
So it started off as kind of like a proggy grunge band. Like we were like if Pearl Jam and Rush combined.
Okay.
Because I like Soundgarden a lot too, so we had elements of Soundgarden, but then we kind of evolved into like more of a Queens of the Stone Age sound or Cayuse, stuff like that. Like desert rock is like stuff that's like really driving, and it sounds like you're in a desert.
Interesting.
It's like really whaley and like psychedelic. There's a lot of psychedelic stuff. I just really love prog a lot too. Like prog metal is my favorite metal genre because like you get so many like spontaneous turn on the dime turns. You don't know where it's gonna go.
Is there even like jazz elements in prog metal? Would you say
there is? Yeah, there's a lot of jazz. Like prog metal's heavily influenced by jazz. And prog metal, which was influenced by prog rock was influenced by jazz. Like what the first like big prog band was King Crimson.
Yeah.
from their In Observation in the Court of the Crimson King, their first album and first like really rocketed them to stardom.
Yeah.
Genesis, yes.
You're a prog nerd.
Love prog, man.
You're a prog man.
Oh yeah. I love prog.
Yeah. Prog rock, progressive rock, they call it.
Yeah,
for those who don't know,
get it.
Yeah, not prog like over in Czech. No, that's a different prog.
So yeah, we were like really influenced by them, and then I had a falling out with my guitarist. I won't really get into that story, but because there's not a lot of time anyway. But then I moved here, and like, look, I've always loved comedy. Like, of course, like I grew up with like Dimitri Martin, Mitch Hedberg, Jim Gaffigan, stuff, guys like them.
I saw a little Mitch Hedberg in you. I see it a little bit.
Oh, cool.
For sure.
Oh, thanks, man.
Fucking sarcastic one-liner dude with long hair. I got you.
Thanks,
skinny dude. Yeah, I got you.
I have to use my metal antics somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, because then what am I doing?
No doubt.
It wasn't until like I moved to here to write, to be a writer, because I was writing a drama biopic about this Jewish neo-Nazi. A real story.
Yeah, I believe it.
And I can tell you more about that, but another time, or now if you want. There's so many segues.
Yeah. Well, why don't we get to LA and hear more about your comedy and your comedy influences, and maybe we'll circle back around on that.
See, I need to be directed. If you leave me untethered, why
don't at the end you could update me on where that project is, and we'll maybe get into it a little bit.
We'll do that. Yeah.
How about that?
I need to be reined in.
You do.
Thanks for reining me in.
No, I've noticed you're not the only one here. The only guest who sometimes needs to be.
It's all right.
No, everyone does a great job for sure.
Well, I'm
learning too over here. You know, this is
it's a work in progress.
Life is a work in progress, my friend.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I'll say that anytime I make a mistake in life.
Life is a work in progress.
Sir, that's not an excuse.
Well, to me, it is. I worked this call center job for like starting like in the second month ever living here, and this lady that I worked with, her name's Rebecca. We'd always talk before the morning meeting and like laugh together and stuff. And it turns out she was doing stand-up comedy, and like she's been on like some guest starring roles on some TV shows like The Middle and stuff. But it's like, you know what, Theo, you need to try out some stand-up. And I'm like, oh, that's way too terrifying.
Yeah.
No way.
And this was what year?
This was 4 years ago. Okay. This was 2015.
Gotcha.
And she's like, no, that's okay. Like, write 5 minutes and perform on my show next week. I was like, next week? No, I'm good.
What did she host? She said she hosted a show or something?
Yeah, it was this venue now defunct venue called The Nine on Vine. It was on Fountain and Vine.
Okay.
And it's superb room for comedy. Like, very good. But she had like big names on it. She's like, yeah, you're gonna be performing with like Brian Kiley from like one of the head writers of Conan and Ian Edwards, guys like that. I'm like, what? And she's like, no, have fun. Like, she wouldn't take no. She like made me do it. And so I like slaved over these 5 minutes.
As you should if you're gonna be up there.
I was like, I'm gonna memorize it. I'm just gonna have this at. And I was so delusional with how I thought it was going to go. I was like, this set, I'm going to do my set, and then Brian Kiley's going to come up to me and he's going to say, you want a job with Don Conan? Or something like that.
You were scared about the worst, but also considering the best possibilities as well.
It's weird, isn't
simultaneously.
It? Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to bomb or I'm getting a job on Conan.
Exactly.
There's no in between.
Like, you're going to be on Conan is what I thought in my head. And he said good job, which I was like, oh, he said good job.
That's great.
But good job in comedy terms usually means I didn't really pay attention, or it was like good job just being on stage.
Yeah, good job. Yeah. Good job getting through it.
E for effort, basically.
Yeah, but that's still okay. The guy acknowledged your existence, so that's the first step. Towards what I don't know.
The beginning of my vision, I guess,
Right.
it was the first part. He didn't ask me to be on Conan, but
No.
he acknowledged I existed.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
And you had did you have performing experience before this 5 minutes you did? Were you into acting at that point, or
yeah,
did you do some performing?
I did. I was in a couple plays and stuff in school, but I loved being on
stage.
stage.
The drums, yeah.
Oh yeah. So it wasn't like an unnatural thing,
right?
But it was just like it was just me.
Yeah.
And like I made the mistake of like inviting 2 of my friends to see me for my first gig, and they've never asked to see another show of mine again. So
just get rid of them. They're not friends anymore.
Exactly.
Are you still friends with those people?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's messed up that they don't go to a show now.
Well,
you've been working.
I haven't really asked them to, but they like I post on my stuff all the time.
They see.
They haven't really. They see.
They see.
They know what's happening.
They see.
They know what's going down.
I'm gonna tag them in social media posts. Call them out.
But
put them on blast. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do it.
How dare you?
Yeah.
But needless to say, they didn't enjoy the set. I didn't enjoy the set. I think mid set this heckler was like, "You can do better than that."
Well, that's
and people are like, "Oh."
You should interpret that as an encouragement.
So I found
it was all the tone.
I actually found out because then Rebecca was like, "I want you to do my show at the Comedy Store next week." I was like, "The Comedy Store is for legends. Why? How?"
She wasn't discouraged. She was encouraged.
Yeah, she's like, "You're gonna keep going." I was like, "What? Okay, fine." And then I saw one of the people from the first show there. So second show at the Comedy Store main room. It's like, what? And then so I saw one of the women who I was on the show with from the first show, and she said, "Oh my God, Theo, so that heckler." I was like, "Yeah, you heard him too." And she said, "Yeah, he was watching the hockey game on TV and he was yelling that at the hockey game."
Wait, and when he yelled,
I guess it was a Bruins game or something.
You can do better than that.
At the Bruins.
He yelled at the hockey game.
I thought it was for me, but it was the hockey.
That changes everything.
Yeah, I was like, so
I'm gonna be famous stand-up comedian someday.
Yeah,
this changes everything. But he still wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
but the Bruins were the Bruins competitive? Then it was probably a big game.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I think it was the college Bruins, not like
the UCLA Bruins.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a big game. Maybe it was the tournament or something.
I wasn't offended.
Yeah, we'll cut him slack.
Yeah, we'll give him a chance. So that was my second ever show, and then I did more for Rebecca. I did like 2 other 9 on Vine shows for her. I had my first manager from my 3rd ever show.
That's amazing, man. That shit don't happen to mostly everyone.
It's weird because like I kept like after the second show is when I like really fell in love with it. I was like my drum moment for drums was the first time. My comedy love moment was the second time.
Yeah.
Where I was like, you know what? The second set was actually pretty decent considering. And I just like kept writing a lot, just writing and writing, just trying to find my voice. And so I had some decent jokes for the 3rd show, and then my manager approached me and she wanted to manage me. I was like, great. And then I think I did a radio.
Not skeptical at all about anything. It was just...
Well, no, because she was my mentor. Because after the first show, another one of our coworkers who was a pro comic, I offered to buy him lunch for him to look at my video and give me notes.
Nice.
And then we just hit it off at lunch. And he's my best friend now.
That's awesome, man.
So like my best friend, he's my mentor. And he like showed me all the ropes. So it was his cousin who managed me. And like she got me a job like doing radio for a while, and I got experience in radio. Like I really started to get the industry and stuff. I still know as much as I know now, there's still so much to know. Like, just when you think you know a lot, you know, like, maybe 10%.
Right. So the bar keeps moving, it seems like, in a strange way.
Yeah.
And I knew when you were saying, like, I know so much now. I knew you didn't mean that to come across as
I
any sort
know,
of braggy way.
I know
But
everything.
yeah, you learned a lot, and you're proud of that, and that's awesome. But it's always more to learn. It's infinite.
The mountain to climb.
Yeah.
Free climbing that. So I've been doing it 4 years now. I mean, I've played like clubs all over. I did my first tour 2 years ago.
Where at?
All up the West Coast.
That's awesome, man.
Bay Area, like Washington and Oregon, and
Wow.
back down. Yeah, that was 2 weeks.
It's awesome.
It was crazy. Like the touring life. The first week, you're like, "This is the best thing ever!" Like I'm living the dream, man. Like I want to be on the road every day.
Yeah.
And then a week and a half in, you're like, which is basically like 3 or 4 days later.
Yeah.
You've like been in the same car with the same people, driving a while. You've been eating only food out. You're like basically losing money. You like haven't decently showered too much. And then so you're like, I want to go home.
Yeah.
Like, can we wrap this up? I need. But then my car. We took my car on tour, and in Oakland, is when it got broken into by some Oaklandites.
Yeah, not the first time a car's been broken into in Oakland, from what I hear.
Yeah, it pretty rabid territory.
Yeah.
And they took everything except for some of our snacks and one of my bags of overnight stuff, my phone charger and toothbrush.
So they didn't steal the car; they just stole things in the car.
They stole my backpack with my laptop.
Yeah,
they stole like
sucks,
some
man.
of his electronics. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's it's over it.
Yeah.
I'm still hurt. I'm still.
I would sit up like that upsets me. I don't like being robbed.
Yeah, because your windows are bashed out and it sucks. So we had to it was like a huge morale beat. Like it really beat into our morale.
Right.
And we still had like 2 more dates to do. So we were like doing the garbage bag windows, like and yeah, pretty poor stuff, to be honest. Yeah, that was the first ever tour, and my God. Crazy.
Yeah.
And then I got back and that car was actually repoed later on, because I used it to drive Uber, and
with the bags on the thing.
Oh yeah, well I couldn't do Uber anymore, so I did Uber Eats or Postmates.
I see.
Because I couldn't pay the bills with that. I didn't have any other jobs really, so I was like 4 months behind on the car payment. And one day I walk out, and the car is just gone. They just found it and took it, and I had a cold that day too. So I was like, "Hold on a minute." In my mind, I knew it was probably repoed. Like they finally caught me, but in my head I was like, no, maybe it got stolen.
I think the funniest thing is that you're like, I had a cold that day.
Yeah.
That's what you remember.
Yeah.
Not even that you were like, oh, also I had the flu and a big fever and my car got robbed, and just like my car got robbed and I had a little bit of a cold that day. So things were even worse.
A bit.
Yeah.
So it was pretty uncomfortable. My girlfriend picked me up, and I found out it was repoed. But there was so much. The car was beyond repair. All they wanted $1,000. They wanted $1,000 to put the windows back. They still want me for $2,500.
Is this
to
ongoing?
Fix the car, yeah.
So what's gonna happen with the car? You're not gonna. You're gonna.
Well, they fixed it up. They sold it at an auction. But what happens when you get your car repoed with that gap insurance? I believe it is. But the difference from the auction they make you pay for. So instead of owing them the $7,000 or $8,000 left, I still owe them $3,000, which I'm not paying. I'm not paying for a car that I don't own. That's ridiculous.
And who gets the insurance companies or whatever gets
something like that?
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, people are like, "Well, it hurts your credit." I've never used credit for anything. If I can't afford it with cash,
yeah, you're fucking hilarious, man. I swear to God.
Thanks. I think it's just I feel like I'm a financial fugitive.
You have like this you're like resistant to things but simultaneously I feel like open to things. You're like, nah, I don't really like metal, but yeah, I'll do it, whatever. And then like with comedy, like I'm not gonna do stand-up comedy, and then you're sort of pushed into it. You're resistant, but you need to be pushed. But once you get a little pushed, I think that seems to propel you.
I like that. I think that goes for like getting motivated sometimes too. Like
you need like a hard push, I think, though, or something. I don't know. No, once you get it,
for like new passions, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
To get motivated, I just need like a cup of coffee and someone to be like, "Hey, let's work on this." Yeah. And I'm like, I'm down with when and where. But that I lived in I've had like a lot of transportation issues. Like I lived in an RV for a while. That was
in LA.
Yeah, that was after the car.
Where about? Tell me. Yeah, you got to tell me about
any address I wanted.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. We moved it to plenty of places. And we like traveled to different venues to do like it was a mobile podcast studio. Actually,
awesome.
It was sweet. So I got to live in that and like make sure the equipment wasn't stolen. I had some weirdos. Here's the thing: when you live in an RV. When every time you walk out of an RV, you're the weirdo,
right?
Like to the outside eye, you're like,
especially if you're not around other RVs.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're that one RV in a residential area and you walk out, like you're gonna make someone jump or make someone.
Yeah,
nervous.
You're getting a look from me. I might say something nice and I'll be cordial, but there might be a look
inside. You're judging.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I knew people were judging, but I was like. At the time, I was like, "Oh, this is pretty fun." But then after a while, you're like, when the battery's dead, and you're not really making as much money from the studio as you want, you're like, "This sucks." So actually, it was like some call of God or something. But Halloween night, October 31st, 2017. Well, I should say 2018 is when I discovered it. But when it happened was Halloween night. The morning of the 1st November, so November 1st, 2017, I drive back to the RV where we were parked to like turn on, like make sure the battery was revved up. And there was a crater.
A crater?
There was a crater. Like it was like ground zero, like a bomb hit like a bazaar in Baghdad or something.
And wait a minute. So you got to your RV and it wasn't there.
It was there, but not in its current state.
It was crushed.
It was burned down by an arsonist.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Someone burned your RV.
Yeah.
In the because was it parked? It was parked in the same place for a long time or something.
It was parked in NoHo. It was like Burbank and Fulton.
Yeah.
That like right outside of the Valley College.
Yeah, I know where that is.
Yeah, so it could have been some crazy like purge late in like college student.
How long was the car parked there? Not that I'm just trying
We were there. I mean, you have to move like once every 72 hours.
Yeah,
or so.
You weren't there long.
Not
so it wasn't
all.
Like it was totally random. It wasn't like these guys have been parked here forever. I'm gonna take it into my own hands. Some angry old neighbor or something.
I can't stand it anymore.
It was just a bunch of crazy, just bad luck, man.
It was so all my stuff was gone, and I think
what did you do to the universe, man?
I don't know. This is what I don't get, Adam. Like, what happened? My life. I think I'm the unluckiest person on the planet.
Yeah.
Like I'm the most. I'm not bipolar, but my life is so bipolar.
Yeah.
Like I have the craziest opportunities given to me, and then I also have the worst luck, like with transportation or living situation or like people being dicks.
Yeah.
It's like I've just learned to like embrace it at this point.
Yeah, I hope for your sake that the highs as you move forward with your life and career continue to be high. The highs get higher, but I hope also that the lows,
get higher.
The lows get higher.
Yeah,
too.
I want the lows to be high.
Yeah, the lows should be. That's good. Yeah, that's a good way. Sure.
It's insane. Like I feel like a phoenix, like rising from the ashes with that. And luckily, it was my friend's RV that I was living in, so he got the insurance from that. But because all my stuff was gone, then a friend of mine put a GoFundMe together, and we raised like $3,000.
Wow,
Yeah, so
that must
I
have
got
been
a
pretty
chance to like get a
inspiring.
new wardrobe. People donated clothes to me too, but I got my life back on track,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah,
That-
it was like
you,
crazy how the community
yeah, you
came
must
out
have been
like that.
pretty touched by that.
I,
Damn.
I was touched. Yeah, it was. I was like, people do care. It's
Yeah,
cool. Like we're not all selfish people.
right.
We like have friends who care
It's
about
good
each
to be
other.
reminded of that
So. It is.
sometimes.
I don't want that to happen every day, mind
No,
you. But
reminded in maybe different ways,
yeah,
of course.
like just give me some reassurance, but not but not
Just
like.
come out to my show.
Yeah, come on. Don't flake out
You
on
know
me.
who
Like,
I'm talking to.
yeah, two people.
Yeah, those two people. Well, why don't you tell me more about like where your life went from there, and maybe some of your other comedy influences? Because I'd like to hear more about. You said before the show that Larry David
Yeah.
is a big influence on you. He's not really known for his stand up per se, but I could see some of the comedy.
Yeah, I've seen his stand up before. I actually, it was last year, but I got to see him in the main room of the Comedy Store.
Nice.
He did a drop in, and like the most thunderous applause I've ever heard in my life.
I bet.
Like it's unbelievable the influence he had. Like Seinfeld, Curb Your Enthusiasm, various other projects.
When did you first discover either Seinfeld or Larry David or Curb Your Enthusiasm or?
I grew up with Seinfeld, so I knew the name Larry David. But like I've seen Seinfeld so many times in its entirety.
How old were you when you first started to get into Seinfeld?
I want to say middle school or so. Safe
Yeah,
to say, like
probably
my
the same
mom
for
would
me.
watch it, and she had all the DVDs. DVDs, crazy
DVDs, what are
technology.
those?
What crazy laser discs?
Yeah.
Um,
VHS tapes, my friend, right over here.
I had a bunch of Disney VHS.
Yeah, I got them still.
Those are expensive.
They're in stir. Well, they get like collectibles now.
They are. If you get like I think it's like the Black Diamond collection, or it's like the original
Yeah.
tapings.
Do VHS tapes have to be like sealed or whatever to be
I
worth anything?
think, yeah.
Oh, they can't be like watched and all scratched and messed up.
I think if it's still that classification and
Yeah.
it's like open or so, it still won't have the same value, but it'll still have a lot more value.
I refuse to get rid of my VHS tapes or DVDs. Really, I don't know where they
They're
are.
fun to have.
Yeah, they're in boxes right now somewhere, but they're fun to have in boxes.
I don't want to look at them, but I don't want to get rid of them.
No, I love my stuff.
It's fun to have stuff.
Yeah, it is. What's your favorite? We're not going to talk about George Carlin stuff. We won't get into that. But
Carlin's one of my favorites.
yeah.
So.
What about your favorite Seinfeld episodes? What do you remember about loving Seinfeld? Was it love at first watch?
I loved Seinfeld. It was hilarious. It was just like I loved how clean it was. Like you didn't need to rely on swear words.
Yeah,
because that's my comment. I don't rely on swear words or dirty material really, but it's just cool how clever you can make comedy without needing to be dirty.
Yeah, but they would go into some more controversial things or sexual things or
but
all that.
They did innuendo without like they did it like they made you put the pieces together.
Right.
I think that made it funnier.
Yeah, I think
is
so.
when you get to use your imagination. But I think some of my favorite episodes were any ones with Jackie Childs. Definitely my favorite is when Kramer goes to L.A.
They're all those are great.
Thing, and he's accused of being a serial killer.
Yeah, those are classic episodes. It's like a 2 or 3 parter.
Yeah,
for sure. I recall that one. But I think what's great about them, the show being clean and not swear words or anything, is that it felt pretty organic and pretty natural for the show. It wasn't like it didn't hold them back. Like the fact that they could, it just the conversations and the writing is just so superb that it just felt natural.
Yeah, like they didn't even need to put it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like brilliant writing. Like another favorite episode of mine was probably the Merv Griffin show. When he has the Merv Griffin set, yeah. And like when Kramer has the intern
Yeah.
Like, why do you need an intern?
Yeah. These crazy things.
But I heard about Larry David through that, and I was like, oh, that's he helped co-create, so that's cool. And I thought like Seinfeld was mostly behind it, which he was, but Larry David, knowing him now, you know, he was like a huge voice behind it.
Of course.
Like, because what I think this might be controversial. I think Curb Your Enthusiasm is a better show than Seinfeld.
No, I could see people thinking that, or it really depends on your taste, I guess, more than anything. Like,
That's true. I mean, I think it's just more modernized too. Like stuff in Seinfeld now is a bit outdated, a little bit.
I think some stuff in Curb may even be a little bit outdated,
Like
but
the early seasons.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think though I would say that Curb Enthusiasm is more Seinfeld on HBO.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. It was and like hearing Larry David swear is hilarious.
Yeah.
That
show definitely had more, the cursing and even edgier, more controversial, taboo things.
I just couldn't believe like how he could still have friends after all these situations he gets in.
You're talking about in real life or in the show?
No, in Curb, yeah.
Yeah.
Like every episode he pisses off everybody.
Yeah.
Like how do you still be friends with this guy?
I think what's great is though, because I find myself watching Curb Enthusiasm and I understand the Larry David thought process. I'm like, oh, I get it. I know why you want better magazines in the doctor's office. That seems perfectly reasonable. But I feel like it gets to the point where it's like even you, the viewer who loves Larry David, the person, the comedian, you're like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
You're making me cringe now.
I know. Like there are certain things you don't have to bring up.
Yeah, it's funny because
you can keep your mouth shut.
Some people tell me, I've had this conversation with at least a few people over the years, they say they can't watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, not because it's not funny or a good show, because they can't, it's so cringy for them to watch like the situations that Larry gets into, like they can't deal. They don't. It's too like nerve-wracking.
I know,
which I think is a funny thing to hear for them to say.
And last season this was amazing too with the whole fatwa thing.
Yeah,
like where like Marty Funkhauser's like speaking at the funeral, and then he sees the Arab guy and he thinks it's a gun. He's like,
man.
Fatwa, he has a gun.
Crazy.
So it clears out. Turns out it's just like his friend with a broken arm.
Crazy stuff. When did you first get into Curb Your Enthusiasm? Because you discovered Seinfeld first, or because you were already in reruns and DVDs, so I guess Curb was kind of already on, or going. So did you kind of discover them simultaneously?
So I think I had a sick day from school or something during college.
You got a binge coming, I think.
No binge, but like I just like flip. This is in the channel surfing days where you had to like
sure
for the listeners, when he channel surfed, and I came across the show Curb Your Enthusiasm as a rerun. It was the interior designer episode from the first season, with the like not making appointments in the doctor, like who first come first serve instead, and like Diane Keaton, that kind of thing. And I just thought the whole situation was so absurd and just ridiculous, and I was cringing too. I was like, oh no, this whole situation is insane. And I was laughing my ass off. And so I found like the first season on DVD in a store for cheap. I was like, well, I like the first episode. I'll probably like the rest of the show. Fell in love ever since.
Yeah.
And it's like one of my favorite shows.
I love the show too. Are we going to get more episodes from Larry or what?
We are. They just wrapped season 10, I believe.
Oh, nice.
So that should be out probably later this year.
That's exciting. I will definitely look out for that.
Yeah.
Do you see Larry David in your own comedy or anything like that? Is he an inspiration for your stand-up or you creatively, or you're just a big fan? And
I think his essence helps me write better. Like
it's interesting.
Yeah, like because I never want to try being like anybody, because then you're just a light version of them.
Sure.
Like if you try being like someone else, you're only going to be the worst version of them. And like I already kind of established myself like as far as who I am on stage a little bit, but once I got more into Larry, then just his nonchalance,
right?
Like his just like seemingly just out of nowhere flashes of the pan thoughts.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think I definitely, for me, have a little bit of that going on in my attitude, or I just don't give a fuck. Larry just does. He doesn't care. Like, he's a social assassin. He'll say that thing that everyone is thinking but is afraid to say.
Yeah.
Or if he's afraid to say it, you'll relate to his hesitancy even to say it, and the neuroticism surrounding decisions that he makes in the show.
It's so nitpicky.
Yeah.
So I like that spirit kind of is infused in my stand-up. So he's a big influence for me.
It's awesome.
But I'm not him.
No.
No one will be. No one ever will be.
You do you. We're all individuals.
That's
I
right.
think. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I think we're all a collective.
Collective of individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's cool. Well, I appreciate you stopping by the studio. Why don't you tell me more about where people can find you and upcoming shows, what you're working on?
So I actually could be found on Instagram at the most relatable man. So speaking of relatability, but in June, you want like the first week in June?
Sure. Whatever you want.
So
Go
first
for it.
week in June, I'm playing a show called Barefoot Comedy. It's at this awesome yoga studio. It sounds crazy, but it gets packed and it's a fantastic lineup. On the 5th, June 5th, Gauchos in Glendale. On the 7th, Nitro Comedy, and that's on a Friday. Nitro Comedy's in Northridge. So follow me on Instagram. You'll see all my posts about it.
Theo
Facebook,
Manhattan.
Theo Manhattan, yeah.
With an A at the end. Manhattan. Like the
city.
That's right. Cool. Well, thanks again for stopping by. I'll look out for some more shows and plenty more coming from you. I wish you the best of luck with your cars and your transportation.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah.
Please no more fires.
Yeah. I'm praying for you, man.
Thanks.
Cheers. So there you have it. My interview with Theo Manhattan. Theo is just a funny dude, and I wish him nothing but success moving forward. Moving forward, may he always have solid transportation, a stable living situation, and competent bass players in his life. For real, though, thanks again to Theo Manhattan for his time. I don't got much else to say for now, other than thanks again to all you listeners for all the support. Everything about the show is, of course, at peoplewelovepodcast.com. But yeah, y'all have a pleasant day. Let's hang again soon. Peace.